we're talking to this trucker, and he says, we're just playing with you friendly Manitobans, because our license plate said friendly Manitoba. We're just playing a game with you friendly Canadians, see how friendly you are. It's no big deal, buddy. Why don't you just let it ride? I said to Fred, what does that mean? Because I never heard this before. He said, oh, it's a trucker thing for no big deal, like chill out, buddy.
It's John Bone from Rock History Music, the most unlikely place that Randy Bachman got inspirations, and there's a few. Let it ride. Randy Bachman talks about perseverance in this and a lot more. He's one of the greatest storytellers I've ever talked to. And there's a lot of stories coming up, so stay tuned on Rock History Music. This band were one of the biggest in the 70s, and it's impressive that Randy Bachman was also in the Guess Who. Their classic lineup also included C.F. Turner, as he went back then, known as Fred Turner, Blair Thornton, and drummer Robbie Bachman. Tim Bachman was in the first incarnation of Bachman-Turner Overdrive. Some of their biggest songs, going back to 73, Blue Collar, Let It Ride, which reached number 3, same as Taking Care of Business. Those were from 74. You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet, their first number 1. Roll On Down the Highway was a number 4 hit. Hey You reached number 1. And interestingly, most Canadian kids had at least one Bachman-Turner Overdrive album in the 70s. You know, a song that made me stop what I was doing. I remember what I was doing. I was writing. When I heard Let It Ride, I remember turning around because, you know, the way the guitar, that guitar sound, I remember going, what the hell? Because that's that to me, I remember thinking, and I wrote it in my journal at the time, I says, that guitar is like sharp like a knife. I remember writing that in my journal. That is an amazing guitar sound, especially in the middle when you do the, you know, you go into that solo thing, when it stops, that's crazy to me. That's like moments in time to me.
Thank you. That came again by accident. I often read that John Lennon would listen to classical music, play it backwards, get the music, and then take the chords where you end up, because you start where you end up usually in the song, and then play the chord and write his songs. And he listened to Philip Glass and all this weird experimental music, the guy smashing a piano with a sledgehammer. So I go and I buy Anton Dvorak's Piano Concerto in D, which is one whole side of an album, which you get for like $1.98 because it's on some weird classical thing from Holland or something. And near the end of Piano Concerto in D, it goes. So I go. And I take my jazz chords from Lenny Breau, I hammer them off and on. We are driving from Winnipeg to play Mardi Gras down in New Orleans. We get hassled by a bunch of truckers on the road who cut us off and everything. And when we go to a truck stop to have a word with them, me and Turner, who are the big guys in BTO, we're talking to this trucker, and he says, we're just playing with you friendly Manitobans, because our license plate said friendly Manitoba. We're just playing a game with you friendly Canadians, see how friendly you are. It's no big deal, buddy. Why don't you just let it ride? I said to Fred, what does that mean? Because I never heard this before. He said, oh, it's a trucker thing for no big deal, like chill out, buddy. So we go down to the dressing room there in New Orleans, and I say to Fred, listen to this. This is from Anton Dvorak's Piano Concerto. And I play the beginning. And I go, let's sing over it. We just go, goodbye, I lied, don't cry, would you let it ride? And then I go to the F sharp minor thing. I say to Fred, scream something, scream anything. It's like Sing American Woman. And he said, you can see the morning. And then we answer it. And sharing our dressing room at the time at Mardi Gras, who hears me do this is the Doobie Brothers, who end up going, because I go, I do that little hammer on.
Long Train Running, yeah.
Yeah. So, and then I you see, in those days, you had 3 guitars, a Gretsch, a Gibson, and a Fender, because you only had one amp. There was no foot pedals. Nothing got you your tone except your guitar. You want to sound like Dwayne Eddy or what, Chet Atkins? You use the Gretsch. You want to sound like Les Paul or Clapton? And you want to sound like Hendrix? You use a Strat. My amp sounded the same, so I plugged it right into the board, an API board, and got that really neat, clean sound. But it sounded too small. So I played it up high where I just played it. Then I played the same A chord down on the 5th fret. I'm playing it there on the 9th fret. I played it on the 5th fret, so it sounded like a 12 string. So the extra note on top, an extra note on the bottom. Then I had a Martin D35 that's real boomy. A Martin guitar is for playing bluegrass and picking. So it really booms. I covered the sound hole with paper and taped it up so it was just a dead sounding guitar. So that's mixed in with 2 Strats and that Martin guitar, and it gets you that beautiful, clean. It's not overly bright. It's just a nice sheen on that song, which starts it. And then the song ended in the studio. And I look at my brother. I went, keep going. And I played it again. And I start the intro again. And so he does the drum roll and it comes in again. I say to Fred, do ooze over it. And I get my Les Paul and I go gong, 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 which is my American Woman tone on the guitar. And it makes a whole little, it's like a classical piece out of this rock thing because I'm thinking Anton Dvorak, right? Another movement comes after the move. So that song was pretty magical. And in the middle, because we played down south a lot, Mardi Gras, we played with the Allman Brothers a lot. And Wet Willie and Charlie Daniels then was a guitar band before he went into the fiddle. There's a lot of guitar harmony in that second BTO album. We were playing 2-part harmony like the Allman Brothers, like Dickie Betts and Dwayne Allman. So in the middle of Let It Ride, when you hear the album version, it's almost 5 minutes long. We're going try, let it ride. We're doing all this stuff. And I listened to that stuff recently. We were really a cool band for BTO 1, 2, and 3. And then they wanted more commercial stuff. So you try to stay on top 40 radio and you lose a little bit of your soul, or you're digging into yourself to find new guitar thing. You become repetitious.
I tried to change the band because what we were doing wasn't working anymore. Music was transitionalizing then, and nobody knew where it was going. So you stay the same and die, or you take a chance and maybe hit a home run. I got to first base and got out on seconds. I think Easy Groove's on there.
What's that?
Easy Groove, the song?
Yes.
Yeah. And I was trying to do a Barry White Love Incorporated with the strings, and then I had the horn section, and My Wheels Won't Turn. I was just trying to broaden the band and still keep the rock core.
Yeah.
And if it would have caught on, it would have been a hero, as always is when you take it. Just like this. If this bombs, like, I'm an idiot. If this takes off, I'm a hero. It's like anything. You go to the line, put yourself on the line.
Yeah. Never. No, when I...
Were you a shy kid? Were you insecure then?
Yeah, I was shy, but, most shy people become entertainers.
Sure.
They go on stage and turn into something else. And they get off stage and they're back to the gentle, mild-mannered Clark Kent. It's like a Superman Clark Kent thing.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is.
With the Lenny Breau experience, what was your first thoughts when you met him? First impression?
Well, I grew up playing violin. So from the age of about 5.5 or 6 till about 14, I played violin. All you play in a violin is melody. So hence, I'm a songwriter. You write a melody, right? So I saw Elvis, and I played classical violin. So it was very, very restricted and very strict. The Royal Conservatory of Music, you had to play the notes on the page, you had to stand properly, and you got examined once a year by a board of directors. And it was absolutely frightening and terrible. And I dreaded it.
I remember reading you were second violin, then you became first violin, and...
Yeah, but it's not a fun thing. What my fun thing was watching the Tommy Hunter show on TV when King Gannon was on. He'd play fiddle. People would go crazy. They would dance to the fiddle rather than sit there and applaud like classical music.
Yeah.
Or the Don Messer Jubilee used to be on every Saturday night. I used to watch that, and Don Messer would play, and he had like 3 or 4 guys playing fiddle, and everyone would do this dance. And I wanted to play music people dance to. And then I saw Elvis on TV, and it was like, wow, suddenly rock and roll, this wave hit Winnipeg. And after Elvis was on, there's like 2 weeks there where all the radio stations were changing over from country and rockabilly to rock and roll. And they were playing Chuck Berry, Bo Diddley, Elvis, Carl Perkins, Little Richard. It was just mind-blowing for a teenager in Winnipeg because you never heard this before.
Yeah.
And to see it on TV, and then your life changed that minute Elvis was on, and I said, I want to play that music. It was just so wild and so off the top of your head and from your heart, playing just wild abandon. I wanted to play that. And at the same time, a country band moved to Winnipeg, and they registered with CKY, so they were CKY's band, and they would play all the dances around Winnipeg, barn dances and sock hops and everything, and they were called the CKY Caravan because they traveled everywhere. And it was like a Roy Rogers, Dale Evans, big fringe shirts and cowboy hats, and they did Webb Pierce and Johnny Cash and Ray Price. And the young guitar player in the band was Lenny Breau. The lead singer of the band was his father. The other singer was his mother. He was the Roy Rogers, and she was the Dale Evans. The little guitar player, who was 16 at the time, I was 15, was Lenny Breau. They moved to Winnipeg. They lived in a motel for a couple of months, and when they finally got a house to rent. It was across the street from some friends of mine, some girlfriends. So I got to meet him. I saw him play fingerstyle guitar that totally blew my mind, and to me it sounded like a string quartet. So I could hear all the parts he was playing. I just didn't know where to put my fingers. I didn't know the strings, the names of the strings on a guitar or anything. I was a violin guy. So my cousins taught me 3 chords on a guitar. I went to Lenny, showed him the 3 chords. I said, I can move my fingers like that. I can hear your bass note. And he was quite surprised at what I could pick out, having never had a guitar lesson.
Was he a friendly guy?
Very, very friendly and also very lonely. He had just moved to town. He had no teenage friends. He played in his family's band. His mother and father led the band. They was all adults, and here he had been playing in the band since he was 10. So he was in this weird world playing with adults.
No kidding.
So I was this teenage guy. I had these 2 beautiful twin sisters that lived across the street that I introduced him to. And I introduced him to American Bandstand. I brought him rock and roll singles and 45s because he was into country and then getting into jazz. And once he taught me 3 or 4 Chet Atkins albums, every song, every lick. Go and listen to a Chet Atkins album. It's not country guitar.
Yeah.
He plays Broadway standards, he plays jazz, he plays flamenco, he plays rock and roll, he plays rockabilly. He played on Elvis's early hits and the Everly Brothers and all that kind of stuff. So Chet Atkins was really a hip guy to get into as my first study book, with Lenny Breau as my professor, so to speak, or my facilitator. And after that, Lenny started to get into jazz, and it was just so frightening for me. All these extra notes. I love do, mi, so, do, and that's what rock and roll was,
Yeah.
And I just soared right into Chuck Berry and Scotty Moore and Elvis, and I played in every band I could rock. So Lenny got into jazz. He showed me a bunch of jazz chords, and I took them, and I said, and he always said to me, learn to write songs. And I said, why? He said, there'll always be a better guitar player. There'll always be a faster gun. And he was practicing 10 and 12 hours a day. And I kept saying to him, I want to play like Hank Marvin from the Shadows. I want to play like Duane Eddy. I want to play like Chuck Berry. And he'd say, that's great. Learn to play that way, but don't stop. Learn to write the songs that they're playing. And because there'll always be, a faster gun. A younger, faster gun will come in town. It's like the old gunfighter thing, right? Someone always comes in younger and faster and gets all the press. They shoot you, basically. And so I started at that point concentrating on writing songs. And I knew that depending on the market, I wouldn't be classed as a superstar guitar player. I'd always be better than average, better than the average guy. I know I could go on stage with anybody and stand next to them and play up to their caliber, but I could never surpass them, and that wasn't ever my goal, was to get my own sound, which I managed to get, but to write the songs was my dream and my goal, and it still is.
Do you have a belief in the afterlife? By the way, I ask every artist this. I ask every artist, Richie Furay, he lost a few people from Poco, and I talked to him 2 days later. He's a great interview, always really good. And,
I think we all came from somewhere to school here, University of Earth, and we're going back. When you met someone, you never met him, you met him before. You met a woman, you go, this is amazing. You're my soulmate, or you're my soulmate. We must have met in the pre-life, and we'll meet again in the afterlife. No harm in believing that. It's a wonderful feeling of security. I came from here as a child. This is my school, my university. I got to the University of the Guess Who, University of Hard Knock, University of BTO, the University of Denise, the University of Lorraine, your wives, your ex-wives, the University of my whatever. And I'm now educated. I know some stuff. I'm a better person. And I'm going to go back and meet them.
Yeah. Well said.
Nothing wrong with believing that.
No.
It gives you when you hit the bottom, and everybody does, I hit it a couple of times, there's nowhere to go but up. And where do you look to go up? You look for a greater power, and you find it. You know it's there. Whether it's in you or outside of you, somehow it exists. So wherever it is, who knows what God looked like? Nobody knows. But everybody has their own version and vision, and that's good. That's what you cling to.
Yeah.
Like your good luck pieces, a rabbit's foot or four-leaf clover, horseshoe, whatever that is, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of curious, at what point did you realize, or did you ever realize, that you were really trailblazing something? Was it the Guess Who? Was it the BTO?
Well, you don't know because when you're doing it because you're so busy doing it.
Yeah.
It's only the people at home that read the press. On the road, you're just hit and run in different places every night, and you're trying to contend with the airplanes, the schedules, losing things, being late, doing interviews, doing your gigs, trying to stay healthy, trying to work out, trying not to eat too much junk food, stay off nicotine, stay off caffeine, stay off sugar, and all those things that throw you out of balance. You're just so busy trying to do that and play good each night on relatively little sleep, night after night after night. People that play a concert and then go and say, the guy didn't hit the high notes, they have no idea that the guy's done 50 dates in a row. All you're trying to do is follow your dream and play guitar like Eric Clapton or Jimi Hendrix or Buck Owens, you know what I mean, whoever your idol is, or George Benson or whatever, and get by and hold on to your girlfriend or your wife because you're away a whole lot, and hold on to your family thing and make a dollar, make a loony, you know what I mean? It's just, and you don't really realize that you're affecting people's lives. You're just struggling with your own. When it's all done and you look back and people bring you press clippings or somebody sends you a press clipping, you look at it and you go, wow, I did something. But when you're doing it, it's like running a race. You try to stop a guy in the middle of running a race, say, how do you feel? He says, are you kidding? Leave me alone here. I'm running a race. He doesn't know that 3 guys tripped or that he fell and got up but he's still in the lead, or that he's got an ache or a pain or it's raining out or whatever. I'm in the race. I'm running. Leave me alone.
If you want to support the channel, we have a PayPal donation right at the very top of every one of our videos, because YouTube income is just all up and all down sometimes. So it's hard for creators these days. Also, remember, subscribe to the channel, click the bell notifications so you don't miss anything. Like our videos, comment on them, and share them on social media. I'm John Bowden. This is Rock History Music. Take good care of yourself. Till next time.